Stories are everywhere, and pretty much in every culture there are stories present, and they're there for us to listen, to learn, to educate youngsters, to entertain us, of course. We're used to coming across stories in films, TV, books, comics, everywhere, but they're also extremely valuable in a business setting too. It might be about the company narrative, or it might be about the vision and strategy. If it's wrapped up in a story, then I really get it. Here at Purple Monster, we love stories and storytelling, and therefore as part of our PIE model, it would be remiss of us if we didn't include a storytelling section. And the best way, we thought we'd remember some of the stories that we have from various conferences and meetings. So let's listen to a few.
One of the most memorable meetings that I was involved with was for an organisation that wanted to change the game. They wanted to come up with some new business ideas. So we looked at it from a physical, intellectual, emotional point of view. Physically, we took them into a big open space with floor-to-ceiling windows. And on those windows we put large pieces of coloured sticky wall. It was literally a room of bright ideas. Intellectually, they were too intellectual. We wanted them to be more emotional and to think like children. So we started the day off by giving them lots of rubbish. Buckets, balls, bits of wood, string, and we said, make up a game like children would. For 10 minutes, they stood there and thought like adults. And then they started keying into their inner child and freeing their minds up and inventing games. And the invention was what set the tone for the whole event.
My most memorable meeting was from a few years ago, and we began this meeting by gathering some stories from the organisation. And we used these stories for source material to transform a conference room into an immersive art gallery. We created some paintings in the style of Monet and Da Vinci and Magritte. These paintings told the story of the business focuses for the 6 months to come. We also created a gigantic pair of glasses and invited delegates to sit behind these glasses and reflect upon the leader's vision that he had set out for the next 12 months. It was a very impactful meeting and still very memorable to this day.
My most memorable story was actually a pretty difficult one for Purple Monster, and it was when we were working on a global leadership program. And it was an emotional story and all about having difficult conversations when required. We were rehearsing, if you like, the presentations and getting ready for this global program, and really there was a lot of tension in the room and it needed breaking. One of our facilitators could finally stand it no longer and actually left the room. It was a really awkward moment, but it did force us, that was a catalyst to have a difficult conversation. It also led to me watching one of the most memorable leadership moments I've ever seen, when the senior woman leader at that particular organisation sorted out the whole thing, reminded us we were a team, and put us back on track in about 5 minutes flat. Awesome.
We worked with a large utilities transmission team, and they were a brand new team. So the objectives for the meeting were to create an identity for the group, allow the group to get to know each other better, but most importantly, define the value that the group were going to add to the business. So we created and designed a giant-sized structure of the word value, and we used this structure to engage the group in lots of activities throughout the day. I just remember this as being a really good example of us using the intellectual part of our PIE model. We linked all the business content to the structure value, intellectually, creatively and physically, thus making it a very memorable meeting.
Without a doubt, the most memorable meeting I've been involved with was perhaps our most unconventional one. We were approached by an organisation who wanted to unite a new global team, but they couldn't fly everyone around the world. So instead of uniting everyone in a physical space, we created a virtual one. This was used before, during and after the event and created a community. We created breakout sessions and plenaries, just like in a normal conference, except with this one, they didn't have to leave their sofas. The best thing is, they still use the site and they continue their meetings.
So that's a selection of stories from our most memorable meetings. And just to recap, stories are a powerful way to communicate. Stories are engaging and stories are memorable. Please, if you have a chance, share your stories with us. We'd love to hear them. And if you don't have any memorable stories, well then get in contact with us and we'll create some together. Thanks for listening.